welcome to our second weekly wrap up, December 23rd, 2023. It's 23:23, 2 days till Christmas. I hope all of you who celebrate Christmas are gearing up for a festive and relaxing and joyful holiday. I hope those of you who are celebrating other holidays in the immediate vicinity either have had a great time or are planning to have a great time. And meantime, I'm just going to plunge ahead with music news as if the holidays aren't happening. But of course, that's not possible because Christmas music dominates the charts due to rule changes at Billboard a few years back. It's now become a free-for-all at the holidays with all these cheerful Christmas songs telling all the current pop records to get the heck to the back of the bus and like the top five, I think, or at least the top five songs in the country this week are holiday songs. And back at number one this week, All I Want for Christmas is All I Want for Christmas is You by Mariah Carey for a, 18th, 15th. It's some very large number and likely to grow. A week at number one cumulative. And now all seems right with the world again. Brenda Lee held the number one spot for the past 2 weeks, and that was a great accomplishment for her and her promotional team. But Mariah Carey is back in right in time for the actual holiday. So congratulations to Mariah. And I'm a huge fan of Mariah's. I give her a hard time sometimes. So please, Mariah fans, don't come after me when I say something that's a little bit snarky about her. She's easy to poke fun at, but I really appreciate her music and her Christmas spirit and her overall personality. This week's weekly wrap up is going to be all about the ladies, and that's sort of my wheelhouse when it comes to music. I do tend to skew towards the divas, and so this week's rundown will not disappoint. But the charts are certainly helping me out here. Our top U.S. album this week is Nicki Minaj debuting at number one with Pink Friday 2. Long awaited, some would say overdue, and not, it is, I guess it is coincidental, but this Nicki was, of course, sitting across the table from Mariah Carey from the judges' table at American Idol a few years back, and they were famously not the best of friends in that environment. So I wonder how they feel about topping the charts together this festive holiday week. But nevertheless, Nicki, who wasn't all that happy about some of the rules that were imposed on the performance of her album in opening week, she still managed to pull off a pretty decisive chart-topping feat here. Although the regular current pop records are doing a great job on the album charts fending off the holiday competition, there are, if I counted correctly, 6 holiday albums in the top 20. So they're still lurking about. I believe Mariah's album was somewhere around number 12, which is terrific after nearly 30 years, almost 30 years after being released. But there's some other classics as well. The Charlie Brown Christmas album. Trying to remember who else is on here. Michael Bublé is his doing the best, I believe, and numerous other holiday records doing well on the charts. Now that I think about it, I guess I would have expected Brandy's album, which premiered this year a few weeks back, to be on the chart, but it's not. At least it's not in the top 20. I'm not sure where it ranks exactly, and I need to take time out to check out Brandy's album. I'm a big fan of Brandy's, and I owe it to myself as a fan to hear her holiday renditions. Since we're talking about holiday news, I also checked out Billie Eilish's performance on SNL last week, and her version of "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" was quite exquisite and makes me thirsty for a Billie Eilish holiday album. A couple years back, we would have probably pegged her for more of a Grinch-style holiday album, but she's definitely come around as a 360-degree musical personality who really just has different moods and different different personalities or different aspects of her personality that she likes to put on display at different times. It's not really about her posing or playing a role as an indie musician and having to mope around all the time. That's just where she was in her life when she came out. And when I say came out, when she first came onto the music scene, I know there's been these other rumblings about her possibly coming out as gay or bisexual recently, and she's taken a sort of shrug her shoulders approach to that, but we're not going to get into that now. The reason I'm talking about all these other things and not Nicki Minaj is because Nicki Minaj is also, this is a repeat slide from last week, because as I made reference to earlier, Nicki had a problem with the way Billboard was imposing its chart rules on her. Apparently Nicki had a contest with her fans, and the entrance requirement for the contest was that they had to buy 4 copies of her record. And apparently records that were purchased under that arrangement in order to qualify for the contest, and I'm not sure how Billboard quantified that exactly, but somehow those duplicate copies were not counted. That is my basic understanding of how this worked. I did in fact go onto Nicki's I did not go onto Nicki's website. I will take that back. I saw a screenshot that someone who is not a big fan of hers posted that was of her website, and I did not go in to verify myself, but when I did go on there, what I did see were 12 different digital versions of Pink Friday 2. So usually the way that artists juice their sales, this is something Taylor Swift has done, this is something that last week's number one, a tease, and gosh, I still haven't checked the pronunciation. Please somebody tell me if I'm mispronouncing the K-pop group's name, ATEEZ. I don't know how else you could pronounce it, but I just have this paranoia that I'm pronouncing it wrong. That's the usual way you juice sales and get to the top of the charts, or use that as a stepping stone to get to the top of the charts, is by selling different physical versions of your album, which have different artwork, or perhaps if it's vinyl, different, or even CDs, different color discs, or something that makes them physically collectible. But apparently Nicki took the tack of releasing 12 different digital versions of her album, which her fans could purchase separately. And that, to me, was also a kind of a new tack. But technically, I guess that was not cracked down upon. But it does seem like Nicki was buying some insurance that she would debut at number one. We'll see how Pink Friday 2 does in its second week. A tease with their strategy of releasing multiple physical versions of their album plummeted to number 24 on this week's chart after being at number 1 last week, which that's not uncommon for artists that have a huge fan base but are not generally popular in sort of a pervasive societal way. And so for a second last week when a tease was number 1, I was like, wait a minute, have I really missed out on something? But and although I've missed out on plenty. There wasn't anything. They weren't particular superstars. They were particular marketing. I won't say geniuses, but they were sly about their marketing with this album and got a lot of physical copies moved out the door in their first week and used that to their advantage. Nicki appears to be doing the same, but we'll see if second week numbers can keep her on top and fend off Taylor Swift, who I think is her biggest competition on the chart right now. And finally this week, we're going to talk about Cher, who visited Kelly Clarkson on her talk show, and the conversation turned to the Rolling Stones and the fact that they were in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and that Cher was not. And basically Cher said well, actually, you can see the quote on the screen. They can just go, you know what, themselves. And of course, she said that only because she was on Kelly Clarkson's show, which is daytime television. She apparently got the memo that Jane Fonda didn't get a few years back when she uttered the C word on one of the early morning shows. Was it the Today Show? Good Morning America, one of those. That was hilarious. And Cher, despite her similar status as a legend and an elder statesperson of the Hollywood community, knew enough to not actually say that word. They could have just bleeped it out, but anyway, you know what? They can just go, you know what, themselves. And I have mixed feelings on this. Cher's basic contention is that she's important and influential and legendary, and therefore, why would she not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And I'm not going to argue with that position. In particular, I think the hill that she's choosing to die on is the fact that her song "Believe" really did change pop music. It was the first popular song. It was the song that popularized, I'll put it that way. It was the song that popularized autotune as an intentional vocal technique. And really, so you could say that there would be no T-Pain if there weren't for Cher. Although I don't know if that's strictly true. Maybe someone else would have popularized it if she hadn't. But it is true that "Believe" was a huge record, and the crazy thing is, "Believe" is now 25 years old, and you only have to have 25 years of chart history to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So even if that had been Cher's first single, just the sheer impact of that single could have propelled her into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But truthfully, Cher was already eligible. Yes, Cher was already, I was doing the math there. Cher was already eligible to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back when "Believe" came out. And so she's lapped the time requirement a second time, and she's still not in there. So I understand, but I also understand what the general criteria are for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inclusion, and I think there's an argument to be had there. Cher is a legend in the same way that Whitney Houston is a legend, and in the same way that many other, like Celine Dion, maybe not in the same way, but Celine Dion is legendary on her own. And I am stumbling over my words there because it feels kind of wrong to talk about Celine Dion as being as legendary as Cher, because it seems a little presumptuous. Cher's been an integral part of our culture since the 60s. So Celine is a relative Janella come lately. I was trying to feminize the saying. But Celine is legendary. But is she worthy of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I think, there's some arguments to be had, and some people just think that the RRHOF is so fickle and so indistinct about what they mean when they induct people into the Hall of Fame that it's almost a meaningless check the box exercise now. And they induct around 5 people every year, and when you keep piling 5 people onto the pile of honorees, it becomes less and less special each year. So there's a little bit of a quandary there about or maybe an identity crisis about what that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame even stands for. But it's something that I'm sure they'll sort out, and it's certainly a first world problem if I've ever heard of one. And but more than anything, it's just an amusing anecdote that Cher is so secure in her status that she can talk about something that's so coveted and be so flip about it. At any rate, so this is the part of the video where you can cut this off now if you've made it this far. I appreciate you making it this far, and I'm just going to make some personal notes about how the second week went. Well, let me tell you, I know that the audio on these videos has been lousy, and I'm working on it. I am not a technician. I'm trying different audio configurations to see if I can make the sound better. and get the sound to come up closer to what it needs to be. Secondly, I really do appreciate the views that I've received this week and the comments and interaction that I've received this week. It's means a lot to me to be able to have a dialogue, not just be a one-way thing where I stare at this little green dot on my computer. And so yeah, keep it coming. And number 3, I want some of those comments to start to be requests for videos for me to react to. I've done 2 weeks of reaction videos. Some of them have gotten some interest. Some of them haven't gotten very much interest at all. But the way that I'm going to get videos that have interest is if people express the interest and I piggyback off of that. So please feel free to drop some requests for things you want me to react to in the comments this week. So this being a holiday week, I'm going to make every attempt to keep on my newly established schedule and give you something Monday through Friday. You'll probably be off celebrating or taking it easy on those days yourself. You're probably not going to be tuning in right at 8 p.m. to see my video post. And that, by the way, that's when I aim to post all of my videos each weeknight. But if there are any interruptions, remember it's the holidays. I might have just gotten a really great gift and had to go out and slide down a hill on it or something. At any rate, please look out for more videos if there's any videos you've missed. And believe me, from what I've seen, I'm sure there's plenty of videos most all of you have missed. So go back and watch those and get those views going, and subscribe to the channel and like this video, and I guess that's all I have to say. I'm going to shut up now. If there's anybody left at this point, you are a trooper and a true friend, and you can drop your email in the comments, or maybe not because other people could see it, but just message me in the comments and we'll talk, because right now anyone who would make it to the end of this video is probably pretty close to my best friend. Anyway, take it easy and remember to make